I'm Kayla Swanson, and I'm your host of the Profitable Salon Owner Podcast. Today, we're doing a podcast a little different than we've ever done before. I have the pleasure of having Janelle Fedock on with me today, and we are talking about her experience. She has only owned her salon for the last 2.5 years, but it has been quite a wild ride. So today, I'm going to be hanging out with her. We're going to be having a conversation about her experience and how she has doubled her revenue and has had many amazing wins over the last couple of months since growing her salon from taking over a salon. So let's bring on Janelle. Hi, Janelle. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. I'm so blessed to be here.
Oh, I am stoked. We were talking before we went live for a long time. I honestly got kind of lost in the rabbit hole of just having a conversation about Janelle's experience over the last couple of years. But Janelle, I want you to be able to share with everybody. So let's start from the beginning. So what beginning? So you took over a salon 2.5 years ago. Tell me about that experience.
Yeah. So I feel like in order to start about my salon ownership, I have to start from the beginning. And I always tell everybody that I didn't pick the beauty industry. The beauty industry handpicked me. I started out working for a distributor for the past 10 years. Or for 10 years prior to owning my salon company. And, it was it was a wild ride. I loved everything about it. The personal development that company showed me is beyond measure. And I'm so thankful to have worked for them. But towards the end, I just felt like I was in this season of unrest and I didn't know where it was coming from, but I knew that I was being called to pivot. And one of the companies that I had called on, she had called me. And she said, Janelle, I'm ready to sell my company. And she had known from my work with the distributor that I had contacts with over 100 different salon owners. And she thought maybe I'd have a buyer. But I knew when I got off the phone with her that I was her buyer. So after I got off the phone with her, I called my husband and I was like, dude, we're buying a salon. And he's like, we're what? And I'm like, yeah, we're buying a salon. And he's like, you're crazy. I'm like, I know. And at that point, I think October, November, December, January, February, my daughter was 4 months old when I had made this decision. So I was fresh back to work from maternity leave, crazy as all get out. And so I bought a salon and I did both, worked for the distributor and the salon for about a year. And then I knew that in order to continue to grow this thing, I needed to quit my job. And I quit working for the distributor in May of 2023. And I've never looked back. I love it. I love everything about it.
I love it. You just decided had this calling and you're like, I know this is right. And you went for it. And in the process of buying it, did you have any doubt or do you have anything come up or man, is this a good idea or is not? Or did you, once you made the decision, you're like, nope, this is the decision I'm making?
Once I made the decision, I knew that I had to be all in, but I also didn't have the skill set in order to effectively run my team the way that I needed it to. So I really started diving into education, reading every leadership book I can get my hands on, listening to podcasts, and making sure that I was equipped in order to lead my team. And also knowing that in order to effectively lead my team, I needed to be the best version of myself. And, as there's tons of mothers out there, after you have a baby, you're trying to find yourself again. So here I am working full time, owning a salon and with a brand new baby and just trying to find myself. So I've overcome lots of adversity, but now that I'm on the other side of it, it's all good.
Yeah, man, I love that. And that is exactly why I wanted to have you on the podcast today. For all you listening, if you are in the thick of anything, no matter where you're at, I think the principle of everything works out the way it's supposed to, and through the grind and through the struggles and through the decisions you have to make, and no matter where you're from or what you've been through or your past or your future, your present, there is it works out the way that it's supposed to. And sometimes it is really hard. And I think I want to normalize the fact that it is hard. And owning a business, owning a salon, having a family, living this life is not always the easiest thing when struggles start to come up. And it's how you face those and the attitude and the perspective that you take and how you choose to walk through the things that are happening. And so I'm super stoked to hear your story and dive deeper into that for hopefully you guys who are listening can be encouraged that even if it's hard, if you're in your car listening to this and you're at the bottom of of your rope and you just feel like, man, this is just such a struggle. I hope that this is an encouragement to you to know that you can get through it. And a lot of it has to do with your mindset and how you're approaching it and knowing that it's possible and knowing that you can accomplish things because you are strong, you are brave, and you got into this for a purpose and for a reason. And so hopefully that's what you get out of today. So Janelle, thank you again for being on here. I'm super stoked about all of this. So as you were opening, I love how you said, you were like diving into like, okay, if I'm going to do this, what leadership books, what things do I want to look into? So you're opening a salon. You've never been a hairstylist before, but you've been in the industry for a long time and you were taking on a salon. So let's start where was your salon at when you took it over? How many staff? What was the revenue? Tell me about your salon when you bought it.
When I first bought my salon, we had about 10 employees. 7 of those were service providers. 3 of them were front desk. And you have now grown to 21 employees. 17 of them are service providers for front desk, and we have doubled our revenue in the last 2.5 years.
That's amazing. That's really incredible. So again, like going from like making the decision and then making it happen in a short amount of time is really incredible. So took it over, I know I asked you this before, I'd love to share with everybody. And when you took it over and you're coming into the salon, and I think it's like, whether you have had your salon for a long time or you're in the same boat and maybe you're just coming into a salon or you're re-establishing your leadership team, Janelle, what has been some of the crucial things as to establish your leadership team to be able to, as coming in as a new face in the company, what in all the leadership books and podcasts that you listen to, what were some key components of things that you learned as you built your leadership team as the new boss?
Yeah, so I needed to have people that could do things that I couldn't do, because in order to have a successful associate program, in order to be able to hire students out of the school, in order to be able to train them to be successful in our industry, I knew that wasn't something that I could do. I needed to have someone come alongside of me in order to build the skill set. I feel like what makes me special and what makes me different and what makes me an effective leader is that I can bring the confidence that lives inside of you out so that you can believe in yourself, so that you can continue to push yourself outside of your limits, so that you can continue to grow and build your business, because this industry is hard. It is so hard. I mean, I don't know what the statistics say, but half of them aren't even going to make it out of beauty school. And if you can keep pushing and keep going and believe in yourself, and you have somebody that's cheering you along the way and coaching you and leading you every step of the way, you're going to make it. And you don't always find salon companies that are going to do that right alongside with you. And I feel like that's what I do effectively well. I can't teach you how to balayage. I can't teach you how to do a root touch, but my gosh, can I teach you how to believe in yourself?
So I really appreciate that perspective of not worrying about being the smartest person in the room. In fact, being okay that you're not, and finding people in your life, or hiring people, bringing people in who have strong suits in the places that you don't. And I think that's a valuable thing and a humbling thing to realize that we all have different strengths. And as you're building a team, the most important part about building a team is bringing people in who have strengths that you don't. So you guys can work together to further your business, which is what I love. What are some other things that you have picked up in building that team and seen in the last 2.5 years, Janelle, that you would share with others of pivotal things that you have discovered in having and vibing with your team?
Well, most of it I can contribute to the HPSA and joining HPSA. What really was changing was the monthly meetings, our team meetings, making sure that the team meetings are about them and they're getting what they need rather than me pushing my own agenda. But then also, because of the skills that I've learned, drawing out what maybe I don't like or that they need to change, drawing it out of them naturally so that they can see their own shortcomings and they can create their own goals. And then also, we're so sometimes as owners, we are fixated on the numbers. We do want to run profitable salons. We want to be successful, but at the same time, we are leading people and we need to meet them where they're at, and we need to allow them to recognize their goals so that we can push them to achieve them. Maybe it's coaching them to buying their first car, or, for one person on my team, it was as simple as like, she really wanted to buy the expensive dog food. It's like, okay, well, in order to achieve what I need from her, what does she need from me in order to get the dog food? And really just drawing that out in a different way. And also making sure that our meetings are full of inspiration and information that they need, so that they don't come to those meetings where they're like, oh, well, Janelle's just going to talk about what we need to do and how we need to get better. It's like, no, I want to bring value to that so that they can continue to grow as humans.
Yeah. So then it becomes a meeting that they want to be a part of and they look forward to, and they know that they're going to further, and they'll see the fruit of like meeting like that and pursuing and having that internal motivation over external motivation of like, what is going to help me get to the goals that I want, and knowing that you have their interests at heart as well, rather than this is what we need to do to make a profit and make this salon better. It's like, this is how we need to grow together in order to further all of our lives, which I love that immensely. So I love that you mentioned that. And so when you joined HPSA, let's see, it's almost been a year. February will be a year, right? Yes. And so you had your salon for about a year and a half, and you joined HPSA in February of this year. So tell me about that transition. How did you know that you needed, like at what point were you like, okay,
I just felt like I had grown beyond what I was capable of doing on my own, and I needed help, and I didn't know what direction I needed to take in order to grow. In the beginning of the year, I had, around 16 team members, and I felt like that was the capacity of a team that I could have lead on my own. And I was like, in order for me to further this, I need more. And I didn't realize what more meant. But now, like looking back, I know that it was that leadership team. It was instilling basically more leadership in my team, to have somebody come up alongside of me and help me train and help me grow people. Because we want to make an impact, that I want to be able to make the biggest impact possible. And if I'm doing it on my own, it's like, at 16 people, that's my capacity. And I don't want to stop there. I feel like I have so much to share. I don't want to stop there. Totally. And so I was like, okay, what do I need to do in order to keep going?
Ready to transform your business and improve your salon's profitability? With Lonza's 3-in-1 technology and intermixable shades, your hair color inventory is streamlined with limitless creativity behind the chair. Click the link below to unveil the secret to salon success.
Are you ready to increase your retention and revenue and convert website traffic to clients? Then you're ready for Maya. Maya creates better business relationships by pairing the right clients with the right beauty professionals. Use promo code HPSA for your first 2 months free. Visit joinmaya.com to get started.
We're Forest, born on the salon floor and built for and by hair and beauty professionals like you. Forest is your marketing, your reporting, your reputation management. You need one easy-to-use system that does it all. Forest, together we grow.
I love that. And then you joined, and that has been incredible. So what's the experience been as you start to bring on a coaching, like having out people who can support you from externally? What has that been like for your company?
Huge. I feel like HPSA, I sit here and say, oh, I love pouring into people and making them believe in themselves. But really, HPSA has poured into me and made me believe in myself. Like, tackling the little voice mastery techniques and going through that program, like, man, I'm unstoppable. And the only limits are the ones that I set for myself. And I want my team to know that the only limits that they have are the ones that they set for themselves as well. And I want to be the most effective, best leader for them. And because I love them and I care about them, and I want them to see that. Because sometimes my passion gets confused for like bullying, or sometimes I can come off a little bit too strong, but man, I don't want them to ever confuse those things. And I also needed help eloquently delivering that to my team as well.
Yeah. Learning how to communicate, use the right languaging, because it's all in how you link. Like there's what is said, what was meant, what was heard. And if you say something, you're like, this is how I want it to come across to them, but it's not coming across that way. And even getting support on how to communicate is just, people think like, oh yeah, that's, communication is what it is. But it's an important part of building relationships with people is how you communicate. It's not even just the way in which you communicate, it's the way in which you're received. And I think that's an important part of it. So since joining the HPSA and since building on the things that you'd already instilled in the last year and the year and a half prior, what has been some really big things that you've implemented in your salon to have the double revenue in 2 years?
Well, definitely more team members. but also
Nice.
having systems in place in order to grow them even further, like making sure that the career path is clear, making sure that they know that they can keep growing within our company, making sure that they have the support that they need whenever things go wrong, that I'm going to have their back. Yeah, because things will go wrong. You know, we mess up, we're human, but it's how we respond to those things and how we can learn from them that pushes us forward.
So in the last 2.5 years, because I just think it's so powerful of how we've gotten to double your revenue and you're on track to be $1 million salon. And it's just cool to see how you made a decision to own your salon, to purchase your salon, and then grow from it. So it had been some big things continuing down the path of like things of where you've grown and how you have realized what has been some like mistakes that have come up, or just decisions that you've made that you've learned the most from.
Oh, what mistakes have I made? Not having clear systems in place. Definitely needed to strengthen the systems and the structure. They say in the absence of rules, people create their own. Definitely creating clear rules around what the expectations are, and then also holding myself and my team accountable to those rules as well.
I love what you're just saying, like on like how to communicate better, and just you're talking about having clear roles, like clear. Like, did you build a code of honor?
So just having clear expectations, clear rules, and then holding my team accountable to those rules so that they know what the expectations are, and making sure that the expectations are being met. Because when those things that you put in place are not being met, if you're not willing to enforce them or address them, they're going to do what they want. And at the end of the day, that's a disservice to the client. And it took me a really long time to learn that when I kept my mouth shut and I didn't address the concerns that I had with my team, I had to look inward and say, is it their fault, or is it my fault, or is it the system's fault? And sometimes it was my fault, and sometimes it was the system. And so really creating strong systems for accountability has been a game changer.
Wow. Man, yeah, totally. And we do something in the academy that's called a code of honor, where we build a set of rules, but values of like you're held to a higher standard. You're held to the code of honor. And when those codes are broken, there's a whole system to it by Blair Singer. Great book, highly recommend it. But we teach that in the academy of building a set of values to live by, that if somebody breaks those, then you can call them to the code of honor and be like, hey, we all are running by these same codes. We have one in our own office. We have 12 different codes of honor, where it's like you're on early, you're beyond time by being early. There is all sorts of I can't think of a single one right now as I'm trying to think of them. But before you get hired, we go over them, and we all are playing by the same rules. And I think that's been a really powerful thing. And I love that aspect of when you have a team, getting everybody on the same page of like, how do we show up here? How do we show up at work? How do we show up as a team player? How do we show up when we have our clients here? And like we have one like client first, team second, individual third. Like we put our clients first, then our team, and then ourselves. And then we know what they mean. We know like the underlying, they're short phrases that we all agree to. We had a meeting together. We came up with them together. And so I love that. It does create a really powerful structure to how you hire, how you lead your team. And I love that a lot. Thank you for sharing that in terms of your experience with your team. And I love how you said like sometimes we can admit when we're wrong and we're the reason why things are disconnected or not going well. I think it's a really hard pill to swallow, especially as a leader wanting to show face and be a really strong person, a really strong presence. And I can't always admit when I'm the one who's wrong, but being willing to be like, oh yeah, okay, I wasn't looking at this correctly, or I didn't communicate this well, or there wasn't clear agreements made at the beginning of this, or they weren't set up for success. Those are powerful things to realize. Janelle, as you're building upon, like, let's talk about profit for a second. As you're building upon your revenue and you're hiring more and you're building on that, what has been your approach to being a profitable salon?
Definitely separating parts and labor was a huge win for us. And then also the credit card fees as well. We charge credit card fees within our company. We want to be able to grow, and those credit card fees have allowed us to hire more staff. instead of figuring out where I'm going to pull the funds from, or if I'm going to sacrifice my own salary for that, I didn't have to, because the answer was right there.
Yeah, man, I love that. And how's your guys, like, how have you, do you do with your team and like RTS and like running promotions and all those things? Like what's your approach to like healthy competition within your salon?
Ooh, that's a good question. I actually suck in this department. I'm going to be honest.
See,
and
that's good.
And I just promoted. So someone on my leadership team took that over, because I just felt like that wasn't something on my plate that I wanted to do. And so I delegated that. So, yeah.
Wow. Okay, let's dive into that. Let's dive into delegating, because it sounds like that's incredible. Like we talked earlier about you know, realizing the power and having people in the room that's smarter than you. Like we brought that up. And then, so talk to me about delegating. How did you, when you were finding the positions and realized that that's something I'm good at, talk to me about delegating. How does it become something that you're good at? Because it sounds like you're really good at delegating. And that's a powerful skill.
It is. Well, I wanted to have people surrounding me that can do better than me. And I have, from my sales or from my distribution experience, I know all about promotions. I mean, we're the ones that make that up on that side of the industry. Or ask your distributor for free things. They'll support you. I mean, it's true. But I just felt like, well, I knew how to do it. I didn't want to plan the marketing piece of it. I wanted to be able to say, here's my idea, run with it. This is the end result. When you've got it figured out, bring it back to me so that I can okay it. Because while I'm really good at coming up with those ideas, what I'm not really good at is taking it to Canva, putting it together, because I don't think like that. I'm not artistic in that way. I really need to have someone else on my team do it. And I do have someone on my leadership team that does the promotions, and she's ran with my ideas and she makes them better than I can. But I give her the end result and then she runs with it.
Oh, I love that. And even having that in when you're delegating and being able to, get like, this is my desired outcome. And then letting your team run with stuff is really powerful, because if you just like say, hey, this is what I want done, this is how you're going to do it. And then people just kind of become pencil pushers, and then they're doing things like, well, I'm doing what you just told me to do. And there's no creativeness in that, where they can make it their own and take ownership of actually accomplishing something, and it being a part of like something that they also feel proud of. Like, I'm doing this, and people taking pride and being excited about what they're doing, rather than just, I accomplished what you asked me to do, rather than, no, I made this my own. And as you're building your team, building your leadership team, hiring people, I always, whenever I hire anybody, I'm like, I am not here to micromanage you. I'm not here to tell you everything that you need to do. I will constantly give you my desired outcome. I'll support you in everything, but I want you to make this your own. I want you to own this position, whether, because you want people to feel like they have a little, oh my gosh, how am I saying that? You want people to feel like they have power in what they're doing and ownership in that, so that when they come into work, they have internal motivation to why they're there, because they're creating something too. Because we all kind of get into it for different reasons. We all get jobs for different reasons, yes, the money is great and we all need, money to live. But there also is, you want to feel like you're a part of something and feel like you're contributing in your own way. And the more you can encourage and invite your team to contribute in their own way, you will have them for longer, because they'll feel a part of your vision. They'll feel a part of your salon's future, rather than a placeholder in a chair, on one of many chairs in your salon, that they're just there to bring in money for the salon, rather than, no, I'm here to contribute from my own special skill set. So more you can empower your team to show up in that way and take ownership of what they're in charge of. I think that's incredible. And even being able to admit, like, yeah, well, I'm not good at this. You are great at this. So this is what I'd like to happen. Let's work on it together. You go, you start with V1, and then we'll talk about it, and we'll go to V2 or whatever it looks like. And you have to find out what that works for you in the relationship you have with your staff, because it's different for everybody, because I'm different. My team's different. And it's even different amongst my team members, where it's like, I can, be really honest and we work together really well, or they do better. Like, you go off and start V1 and bring it back to me, and then we'll go through it together. And learning how that relationship works is really important as you're building your team and hiring people in. Tell me a little bit. I know you had mentioned before we started, Janelle, about hiring. What has been your experience like as you bringing people into your salon, wanting to keep the culture in strengthening people and helping them find, get confident and be able to build the career that they want? What's your approach to hiring?
I really want to hire staff that is motivated to grow in their business. I mean, that's what I want. I want people that want to take ownership, but then also want a little bit of help and guidance along the way. You know, I want them to want to succeed, and I want them to have a willingness to learn. And maybe they don't have that confidence yet, but that's a skill set that we can add on and that we can build on. But really just having a willingness to learn is what I look for the most.
How do you discover that in the short, in the hiring process? How have you set up your hiring process to be able to discover that as you bring people in?
The first thing that we do is we have them shadow. So I want them to come in and I want them to get a sense for our culture and who we are. And I always feel like every salon has a feeling. Every salon is different. Every culture is different. The employees are different. The leadership is different. Ownership is different. But when you walk into our company, there is a feeling associated with it, and you know whether or not you fit or you don't. I can't explain it, but it is a feeling. And you know when you walk in whether or not you want to be a part of it. And if you have a willingness to learn and you want to grow yourself and you want to grow in your career, you're going to know whether or not you fit. And so I have found that when they come in and they shadow, they know immediately whether or not they want to be a part of it.
Yeah. Dang, man, that's incredible. Janelle, this has been so fun. I feel like we just continue talking about the experience that this has been for you in growing from your salon and taking on a salon for only 2.5 years and being able to double its revenue. Janelle is one of the clients inside of our academy, which has been really fun to have you here. And actually, you just upgraded from, we have our gold program, which is our smaller salons, and then we have our platinum program, and you just upgraded to platinum. I'd love to even talk about like growing your salon to a point when like, one, asking for help and realizing like having external help is a really big decision. And I think that that's a really powerful thing to realize. Like, I love that you keep saying that and knowing that there's people who can teach you more. And so what has the experience been over the last almost a year that you've been in the academy? What has the experience been being able to grow your salon to get to points where you can upgrade into platinum?
I think that it's important to know and to recognize and be okay with when you have reached your own limit, and then being okay with not being able to know that you can do it on your own. Like, we as humans, we always want to be perfect. We don't want to be vulnerable. We don't want to show that side of ourselves to other people. And I think that it's really hard for people to recognize, like, I am done doing, or I have reached the capacity in which I can do things on my own and I need more help. And then when you do that, you're pushed outside of your comfort zone and you have to grow beyond a level in which you're comfortable. And so I wanted to be with people that were going to grow me outside of my comfort zone.
Man, that's powerful. And that's cool. And then and it's hard to get there. It's hard to be uncomfortable, but it's in that uncomfortableness that you're going to grow the most. And I love that is a place that you wanted to put yourself, because I love the drive that you have for, I made this decision and I want to get to where I'm going, and just accepting the help and accepting the perspectives and evolving as a person, I think is the most powerful key to evolving your business, is you yourself evolving as a person, accepting people to come in and teach you something, because we don't know everything as much as we'd like to. We don't know everything, and people have something to teach us. I believe that everybody comes into your life with something to teach you, no matter how long they're there for. And I love that. So what is your experience? So let's talk about that. So I know that you just upgraded. So we have a smaller program and a bigger for smaller salons and bigger salons. You just upgraded to our bigger salon program. Tell me, over the last, you've been in the academy almost a year, what has it been in the growth that you've had in the last 9 months? What has been some monumental things that you've gotten to accomplish in your salon to grow to the pace that you have?
Definitely tightening the associate program. Digitizing the associate program so it's more structured, so that when we are trying to hire our associates, we can pull up on our little Trello board what our associate program looks like, how structured it is, so they know exactly what they need to do in order to move through it as quickly as possible. Because no one wants to sit in an associate training program for months and months. They want to get through it as quickly as possible. But when they can see it on paper and be like, okay, I need to accomplish X, Y, and Z in order to move to the next level, like, definitely tightening that has been important. And then also, I realized through my journey is making sure that we emphasize that we do have a career path and that we have answers to how they're going to continue to make more money, because we don't want to stay stagnant in our careers. We want to know how we can grow. We want to know how we can grow. We want to know how we can get to the next level. We know how they want to know how they're going to eventually be able to buy a car or buy a house or afford to get married. It's like, I can show you exactly where you need to be in order to accomplish the things that you want, because our career path is laid out and it's structured and you can see it in its entirety from the beginning. If you want to make X, Y, and Z, if you want to get to that 6 figures, well, this is how many clients you need to see. Okay, well, if we've laid this foundation, how do we build? How do we grow on that? What do the numbers need to look like?
Incredible.
And I think that's important. I think having a career path is huge.
Kayla, you've said this 30 times, but it's important. Is you don't have a salon without your team, and they want to feel a part of it too. And they want to see, where am I going? Many salon owners are losing people to booth rent. And the big part of that is people want to have a career. They want to have control. They want to know where they're going. They want to be able to grow themselves. And sometimes if they don't know any better, they think that booth renter is going to get them to that place. But that's not true, because there's all those other expenses that come with it. They don't even realize that they don't have to worry about when they're in a commission salon. And so without your team, if your team don't feel like they're growing, that's people will leave you when they don't feel like they're no longer feel like they're growing with you. And so being passionate and being about their future and letting them know that you care about that and supporting that and doing the work to, I love that you just said, laid out a career path for them so they know where they're going. That's powerful. And not a lot of people have that. Thank you so much, Janelle, for hanging out with me on this podcast. It's been a blast to have you on, doing something different, to hear about people's stories. Because I know that on the other side of every salon is an owner that's a real human being. And with things that you've been through, everybody has their own story, their own desire and their vision of where they want to go, how they want to build their salon. I think the biggest power that I love to talk about is the power of community, being surrounded by other salon owners who are going through the same exact thing, having similar struggles, overcoming things and sharpening each other by sharing their tips and tricks of how they have done things to be able to do it better and to avoid mistakes that they have made. And sometimes it's just about the journey. And I hope that as you listen to this podcast, you got a glimpse into another salon owner's journey of things that has happened, ways that they've grown, ways that they've overcome things that they've instilled, and just having that and the power of being around people who have been through it, who understand it, who are building their salon also. So Janelle, thank you for sharing with us today. Thank you for hanging out with me. I hope you got a lot of value out of this. And anything else that you want to share before we hop off?
No, if I can do it, so can anybody else. You just got to believe in yourself.
I love that. Thank you so much, Janelle. We'll see you next time on the Profitable Salon Owner Podcast. Bye for now.
You've been listening to the Profitable Salon Owner Podcast. Be sure to like, subscribe, leave us a review, and check us out at ProfitableSalon.com for more episodes, content, and to help you turn your salon into the business you've always dreamt of.